What is up, True Crime World? You're here with Luminol on the Wall. I'm Becky.
And I'm Bevy. And today's case is about a young woman who wishes to celebrate one of her final Halloweens as a young adolescent when she encounters a real-life monster lurking in the bushes. This is the case of Taylor Van Diest. Listener's discretion is advised.
Going on, our true crime friends and family.
Hey everyone.
Yes.
Welcome to spooky season.
Spooky dookie. Don't know why I said that.
Either way, this is like the 3-month saga of like my everything, 4-month saga of everything my favorite.
Yeah,
Not
me
3
too.
months, it was 3 months.
You don't know what's
What is it? Hallow Thanksgiving. Nope.
Hallow Thanksgiving Day.
No, it's Hallow Thanksmas. Hallow Thanksmas.
Hallow Thanksmas. Yes.
All my favorite holidays.
Yes, the weather starts to change, the leaves start to fall, the snow starts to come down, and then Christmas, bam, everything's sparkly.
I know, it's amazing. Speaking of leaves falling, in our complex where Craig and I live, everyone has a beautiful apple tree in front of their home, right?
Yes.
And I say beautiful apple tree, but really it's a pain in the ass when those apples die and splatter on Craig's car.
It happens
and it
every
sucks.
year.
However, it will not happen this year, Becky, because I think our tree is dying. We were driving home the other day and I noticed that everyone's trees have all their leaves on it. They're turning orange and yellow. They all have apples on them. And then we drive up to our place. Almost all of our leaves are off our tree. It looks like the fucking Charlie Brown Christmas. And there is one apple. And Craig's answer to prayers. But I'm but is our tree okay?
Yeah, you're hold on a minute, Craig.
Different than everyone else's.
Did you guys do something to it? Did you hit it with your car?
No, but one time trying to be a good wifey, I did bang it to get all the apples off before Craig came home so that they wouldn't splatter on his car. And so maybe
shocked it.
Maybe I shocked it. Maybe I should have let it run its natural course instead of banging all the apples off.
Did the apples come off?
Most of them, yeah.
Was this year, Bev?
No.
Oh.
It was 2 years ago. So I'm maybe it traumatized it a bit. I was hitting it with a broom, so you never know. Maybe I put a curse on it.
Maybe. Or your tree's just dying.
Or that. I don't know.
That's
it's just
wild.
odd to be the only one out of the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
But
maybe you'll get a new tree. If you do, ask for a pear tree.
Craig wants no fruit tree. He wants just a standard tree that will not blast his car with blood-looking
I do have
splatters.
To say, the very first time I ever saw what that tree did to Craig's car, I was very shocked.
Yes. The zombie apocalypse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was literally it looked like someone just dropped livers all over his car. It was that red.
Yeah.
It was very concerning. And then you're it's just an apple tree. I was huh,
yeah.
Is it?
Well, because it's just around the season, they splatter, and that would be bad enough. But
Smushy,
then it
smushy.
freezes on there.
Overnight.
And it's hard to get off,
Yeah,
so.
the frost.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Okay, well, I have something to talk about too.
Sure.
I have been watching the Menendez brothers.
Want to try that again?
Menendez brothers.
Yeah, same.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Woo. Okay. The fuck.
Yeah, I think I felt bad for them because I thought they were severely physically and maybe sexually abused.
Mm.
And then when I learned that wasn't really the case, it was more psychological a little bit, but I don't know. I was just does that really, do I feel bad for them? I don't know. Maybe I haven't gotten too far into it, but so far I'm
okay,
yelled at you a bunch.
I finished it.
Thoughts?
Where are you at?
Well, I did fall asleep for a little bit of it, but Craig kind of explained it as they're going on a binge of shopping spree.
Okay, you're not far into.
Does the abuse get more intense? Do you find out more about it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, but what is more shocking to me,
Uh-huh.
to be honest, is once I finished that whole thing, and I won't spoil that for you, I went and watched some of the real trial.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they were sexually abused pretty harshly.
Holy
And the reason why I say that is I actually watched this guy who does like body language expert, right? And he was explaining as these men were giving their testimonies of the sexual abuse, the amount of behavior, or not the amount of behavior, but the behavior that they had in their little mannerisms in regards to if they were being truthful or not. He said he believes that in those statements and when they're talking about sexual abuse, that they are showing a huge amount of shame, rage, sadness. And he believes that what they are saying is very truthful. Although I think maybe they exaggerated other parts of this crime, I think that they're telling the truth just in their eyes, Bev. Like, I felt so sad for them. I know they're killers, and I'm not saying what they did was right.
No, it was savage.
And they definitely need to go to jail because it was wrong.
Yes.
And they know it.
Totally.
But I think they suffered a great deal through their life.
I always think, like, it's very sad to hear of cases where victims become the, like, perpetrator.
Yeah.
It's just sad because obviously psychological, physical, sexual trauma can really change the way you process information, the way you see the world. Kind of just changes, like, what you're willing to do to, like, protect yourself and stuff. So I don't know. For me, it just always makes me sad. So that makes me sad.
Yeah.
I obviously have not gotten too far into it. So,
but I do say you leave that Netflix series and you're like, I don't know what's what anymore. So you'll have to watch the rest and let me know, and like whenever you're done.
Okay. I'll let you know, and I'll let everyone else know.
That's right.
All right. So we'll get into the case for today, which occurs in Armstrong, which is a small city located in the North Okanagan region of British Columbia, Canada. And it's nestled between the larger cities of Vernon and Salmon Arm. And it just lies in the picturesque
Spelumcheen?
Yes.
Spelumcheen?
That is. So, yeah, sorry. It lies in the picturesque Spelumcheen Valley. And that's just minutes away from Okanagan Lake. And if you've been to the Okanagan, we used to go there as kids. It's stunning. It's very beautiful.
Yes, it is.
And a little bit about Armstrong. It is known for its agricultural roots, its charming rural character, and it has a really nice, tight-knit community.
Yes, I actually went and looked at homes for sale in Armstrong because when I looked at the photos, I so closely identified with this town. I feel like it would be an amazing place to live. It is picturesque.
Beautiful.
Yes.
But was it expensive?
Yeah, it's, I don't know if I'll ever be able to afford to live there, to be quite honest.
But beautiful nonetheless. And those who live there are lucky. And historically and economically, Armstrong, what is going on? Get your tongue in order, girl. Armstrong has been tied to agriculture, as we said, but it was particularly strong. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. Nowhere in the words on the page does it say strong. I don't know what's going on. Woo! Guys, like, just please forgive me. Are we going to
be able to get through this podcast tonight?
Can we do it? Okay.
Take a breath, Bev.
That was adorable.
Oh my God.
Like, thank you for being my nice inner voice that cares about my well-being. But
so
yes,
welcome.
I will. So the agriculture that it was particularly tied to was dairy farming and the production of grain and vegetables. Because of the fact that it was in the Spelumcheen Valley.
It's very fertile
The soil was fertile.
Yes.
Yeah. So it made Armstrong an ideal location for farming. And the area, this is an interesting tidbit, is famous for its high-quality cheese.
Yes, cheese.
With Armstrong cheese becoming a nationally recognized brand, which, heck yes it is. It is my favorite brand of all time.
She has some in her fridge right now.
Yeah, we talked about this before.
Yes. And to be real, she does love Armstrong cheese.
Yes.
And it's not just like something we're saying.
No. I go out and buy cheese and crackers. And I only buy the Armstrong cheese because it's so dang good.
It's so dang good.
So go BC for having that fertile soil that is good for farming, because your cheese, it's good.
It's good.
I'll pull a Becky. If you ever want to, like, just give me like a boatload of cheese because I'm telling everyone to buy your
like
brand.
a collab?
Like, can we do a collab and I'll just get like Armstrong cheese forever?
A lifetime supply? Hey, Armstrong, do you hear us? We like your cheese. And we want more of it.
Yeah.
I also like Armstrong cheese, but not because I'm pregnant.
Just because it's fucking good.
It's just yummy.
They do it right.
Yeah.
So today's case is about a young girl named Taylor Van Diest. She was an 18-year-old girl from Armstrong, British Columbia in Canada. She stood about 5'4" and weighed 125 pounds. She was described by her friends and family as a kind, vibrant, and outgoing person with a love for life. Taylor was a great student. She had a strong artistic side, and like many teenagers, she enjoyed hanging out with her friends, listening to music, and expressing her creativity. In 2011, Taylor had just graduated from high school and lived with her mom, Marie, her twin sister, Kirsty, and their dog. She loved RuPaul Drag Race. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Horror movies and playing World of Warcraft.
Very diverse.
Yeah, very cool interest.
Do you remember World of Warcraft when we were younger?
Literally cannot forget it.
Our dad and brother were so obsessed with it.
Obsessed. Actually, Craig was too. He had to stop because he had a WoW addiction.
Yeah, I think Jamie had one too.
Yeah,
it's unreal.
A lot of people love that game.
One time, just a little tidbit, Dad tried to teach me how to play World of Warcraft, and he made me this cute little gnome or little short stubby guy.
Yeah.
And Dad says, okay, you're going to have to help me fight these guys. And I was like, okay. And then I got distracted with the slash dance.
Oh, and you just danced?
Dad yelled at me from the other room. He's like, God damn it, Becky. I'm getting killed over here. And I was like,
stop
whoops.
dancing.
And he died. And he never let me play with him again.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was like, this is not my game. Whoops. I'm out.
I tried to like get into it. And yeah, like I just couldn't get past like
the slash dance.
No, for me, it was just like I tried to navigate my way in the world and I just couldn't figure out how to progress. So I was like, F this. I'm
out.
Done with it.
I'm out.
So anyways, Taylor loved that game. And in addition, she was very social. She was looking to get her driver's license and get a job in the near future. And on Halloween night, Taylor wanted to go trick-or-treating one last time with her friends, Zoe and Clay. Her twin sister, Kirsty, had made other arrangements. So Taylor dressed up as a zombie for the holiday. And before she left her house around 5:50 p.m., she put on a pink jacket with wool lining over her costume. When she left, she headed north on Pleasant Valley Road and veered off to an unofficial path about 15 minutes from her home. This path paralleled the railway tracks. Locals would often use this path to get from point A to point B. And while walking, Taylor sent a total of 10 texts, one of which was to her boyfriend Colton saying, being creep, indicating she obviously felt uncomfortable. Colton texted her back immediately, but Taylor never responded. Colton, knowing that she was typically a quick text responder, became concerned, and by about 7:30 p.m., all of Taylor's friends and family started to worry because she had not shown up as planned and no one could get a hold of her. And around 8 p.m., a group of teens walking along the train tracks found Taylor's phone. They informed Taylor's mom, her friends, and boyfriend, and the group began searching for her. Taylor's mom also notified the police that her daughter was missing. The search party split up, with half looking near the train tracks and the other half searching in the residential area. And around 8:45 p.m., Taylor's friends found her about 10 feet from the train tracks in thick brush. She was severely injured, barely conscious, and was unresponsive. She was bleeding, but it was hard to tell whether it was from the blood from her costume or from her actual injuries. Regardless, the blood was concentrated around her head, and everyone that found her was pretty worried. Police and paramedics were called. And while waiting for help, Taylor's friends and family covered her in their coats to keep her warm. Fantastic. Super smart. Like, that is
First Aid 101.
First Aid 101. Good for you guys. And Taylor's mother held her, telling her to hold on. Oh, that's pretty sad and endearing all the while. So anyways, shortly after the 911 call was made, the police and ambulance arrived. Taylor was quickly loaded into the ambulance and taken to Jubilee Hospital in Vernon. At the hospital, emergency physician Dr. Concanon, what the fuck?
Concanon.
I literally, like, am I dyslexic right now? Like, I'm just confused. Okay, Dr. Concanon assessed Taylor's injuries. She had a large skull fracture at the back of her head. Her hair was soaked in blood and she had cuts on her lips, bruising inside of her mouth, and a large cut on her eyebrow, and a big bruise on one of her shoulders. She also had defensive wounds, including 2 broken fingers. There were also 2 distinct red lines around her neck, indicating that something had been used to strangle her. Her pupils were large and unresponsive, suggesting that she had suffered a severe head injury. And she had
Petechiae.
Petechiae in her eyes. Really? Good thing I didn't try that one on my own, Beck.
How would you have said it on your own?
Petechiae? Petechiae? Anyways, it's petechiae, which is just not what I thought.
Petechiae.
I'm glad. Petechiae. Lord help us
Do you know what that is? Do you remember at least, Bev?
I remember us talking about it, and I don't remember, Becky. Go ahead. Inform us all.
It's like the little blood vessels in the eyes that are all like popped.
Right.
And making it look like red speckles or completely red in some circumstances.
Right.
But it indicates that someone has been strangled.
Right. Probably like the blood flow cuts off and just like bursts at the eyes or something. Yeah. Wow. Well, with the strangle marks on her neck, that definitely checks out.
Yeah, it tracks.
So at this point, Taylor was placed in a medically induced coma in an attempt to save her life. But a CAT scan revealed that her injuries were extensive and would need a miracle if there was any chance of survival.
Now, one interesting thing, imagine being friends and family, seeing these injuries initially.
Yes.
She's right by the train tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is probably assuming like she got hit by a train. You know, was she on her phone? At first, right? Because it's dark out. They don't know where the blood's coming from because of her costume, all that stuff. But then to go to the hospital and have
she was attacked by a person.
Have all these other injuries be really noticeable. It's like, oh my gosh, what we thought was maybe a train accident.
An incident. Like
something way different.
Yeah, way different. Wow. Obviously, what was told to the family and friends that found her once she arrived at the hospital and was like looked at was that she had appeared to be savagely beaten and left for dead, as opposed to being hit by a train. Now, a nurse with forensic training noticed blood and debris under Taylor's nails. She cut them and collected the samples for evidence, and it was very clear with what they saw that Taylor had fought for her life. But regardless, due to the severity of her injuries and the lack of resources there at the Vernon Hospital, Taylor was transferred to the hospital in Kelowna. But despite all efforts, she succumbed to her injuries the next morning on November 1st, 2011. An autopsy revealed that Taylor had died from diffuse bleeding in her brain caused by multiple blunt force injuries to the back of her head. These blows had left 6 distinct, irregular lacerations on her scalp and caused a skull fracture. The forensic pathologist concluded that the lacerations were caused by a heavy, elongated object, and each was the result of a separate blow, any one of which could have rendered her unconscious. Combined, these injuries made her death inevitable, even if she had received immediate medical attention. The pathologist also noted strangulation marks on Taylor's neck, likely caused by a smooth, thin cord of sorts. The deep bruising to the neck, muscles, and hemorrhaging in the eyes suggested the strangulation was forceful enough to cut off the blood supply to her brain. Now, what was most disturbing was the presence of scratches around the ligature marks, indicating that Taylor had been conscious at that time and was attempting to fight off her attacker. The day after Taylor's death, news spread quickly through the small town of Armstrong, leaving residents in shock and fear. Taylor's murder received significant media attention, and a public memorial was held on November 7th, 2011, where the entire community paid their respects. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the RCMP, launched an extensive investigation into Taylor Van Diest's murder, canvassing the area around the tracks and speaking to residents. Some reported hearing loud screams coming from the direction of the tracks around the time of Taylor's attack, but they had dismissed them, assuming they were part of Halloween festivities.
You know what? I've been in a somewhat similar situation to that. Not to this level.
Do tell.
Well, you know about it. I live in a duplex, and the separating wall is concrete. It's supposed to be fire resistant and somewhat sound resistant too, and normally it is. But one day I'm in the bathroom getting ready for work, and I don't hear anything, and then all of a sudden I hear my neighbor scream bloody murder and smashing around. And it's so scary. And Rocky, poor Rocky baby, he was so scared. He was shaking on the bed.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so scary, and I froze. And I called Jamie. I said, Jamie, I just heard this crazy loud screaming from the neighbor. Should I call 911? He says, well, what do you think? Don't turn this on me. I don't know. That's why I'm calling you. Obviously, I'm panicking. Anyway, so I said, okay, if it happens again, I'll call, right? I don't want to be that neighbor that calls for just an angry argument, right?
Right, of course.
But then I do keep hearing it, and all I hear is this man yell, "You broke the effing door!" And then screaming, running, and then it was done.
Eerie.
The next day I heard them fighting again. wasn't as drastic and I couldn't specifically tell, but to be in that moment where you hear something where you're like,
wait a tick.
Wait,
did I hear something?
Do I need to call 911?
Yeah.
Am I going to kick myself? So I understand. And so you hear a scream, even if it's like blood curdling, maybe you're not going to do anything about it, right? Like imagine those people finding out that it could have been Taylor.
No doubt. They probably felt terrible, but I would say like the masking of Halloween festivities adds another layer of complexity.
Yeah.
Like we've all seen Halloween. You know, people just thought it was part of the whole thing while a psycho murderer is on the loose.
Yeah, it's all about horror, death, ghouls.
Yes.
All the bad and evil
so
things.
So like wouldn't be a far stretch of the imagination to think that it was just part of the festivities. So I get why there was some like hesitation or like freezing happening there.
Yeah.
So anyways, after they hear about this and the investigation continues, the police set up roadblocks near the crime scene. They're hoping to find someone who had seen something but hadn't yet come forward. And on November 3rd, the RCMP held a press conference to update the public. Though during this press conference, they withheld specific details of Taylor's attack to avoid compromising the investigation, which is obviously very common.
Yes, classic.
And an important breakthrough came when DNA evidence was found under Taylor's nails. And it was known to an unknown male. Yes. So the DNA did not match anyone in the national database, but did match a sample from an unsolved sexual assault at the Garden of Eden massage parlor in Kelowna in 2005. Which I think they just kind of lucked out on this one because a composite sketch of the suspect was created based on the earlier case in 2005, which was a Caucasian male with a darker complexion, about 18 to 19 years old at the time, making the man 25 to 26 years old in 2011. He had short, dark hair, brown eyes, a stocky build, large sideburns, and thick eyebrows. He was believed to be familiar with the Okanagan area. Police also released a behavioral profile, noting that the suspect might have been experiencing personal or financial pressures leading up to Halloween. And after the attack, he might have displayed visible scratches on his face, neck, or arms, and could have acted withdrawn, changed his routine, or left the area unexpectedly. Following this press conference, tips just flooded in. And in late December 2011, RCMP officers began investigating in neighboring towns Lumbee and Cherryville after residents reported that the composite sketch resembled a local man named Matthew Forrester. Forrester had abruptly left his suite in November 2011, asking his landlord for his damaged deposit back and leaving all of his belongings behind. Matthew's father, Stephen Forrester, later collected his son's possessions. When RCMP speak with Stephen, he tells them Matthew had gotten a job in northern Alberta and he had to leave immediately. The RCMP's investigation into Matthew Forrester intensified. His phone records showed that his device had pinged in Armstrong on the night of Taylor's murder, despite being in Lumbee earlier that day. A DNA sample was obtained from Matthew and it matched the DNA found under Taylor's nails, as well as the DNA from the 2005 sexual assault. The police now had their suspect, but they needed to locate him. The RCMP knew Stephen was aware of his son's location, so they tapped Stephen's phone, and it revealed that Stephen had purchased a fake identity for his son. After hearing that, they were able to locate the man who had sold the ID to Stephen. He told them he also gave them his SIM card as well as an out-of-date debit card. They continued to listen to the phone calls between Matthew and his father. This was a treasure trove of information. They learned Matthew had fled to Collingwood, Ontario, where he was working at a glass factory under the false identity. Now, I just have to say something about this. It's like your son went and got a job, but you helped him get a fake identity. Like, why would your son need that? You have to know something's going on other than him just receiving a job, right? Like, no way did he just receive a job after getting a fake identity.
Oh, no. Stephen for sure knew, because it was also said that he gave him tips on how to evade the police.
So
he was aware.
Craziness. Like,
isn't it interesting how you have like almost like just two different sets of parents when it comes to criminals? You have one that's like, yo, my son is the killer. I'm going to tell you everything. And then the other's like, I'm going to help my son get away with murder.
Yeah, like,
it's like, go fuck yourself, Stephen.
Stephen, that was a bad idea.
Bad form.
Because you could be culpable, bitch. Anyways, so at the very least, the police are on to Matthew and his father. And in April of 2012, the RCMP arrested both Matthew Forrester in Ontario and his father Stephen in Cherryville. Thank the Lord. That's right. You don't get to like help your son evade the police, get away with murder, and then not be arrested yourself. Now, while in custody, Stephen Forrester bragged to an undercover officer about how he had helped his son evade the police by providing him with money, a fake ID, and advice. Matthew, once confronted with the evidence, ultimately confessed.
He's like, yeah, can't even lie about it now.
Yeah, like, I'm busted. He told investigators that he had traveled to Armstrong with the intent of committing a sexual assault. After encountering Taylor, he pushed her to the ground and told her not to scream. But when she fought back, he savagely beat her with a flashlight and strangled her with a shoelace before fleeing. Matthew told investigators if she had not fought back and let him assault her, she would not have died.
Isn't that so effed up?
Yeah.
It's like if she had just taken it, I would have let her live. But because she fought me,
she just didn't let me abuse her.
I had to kill her.
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with him, right?
100% what's wrong with him.
Messed up.
Sick.
Shame on
and
him.
Twisted.
And you know what? I know, like, when you hear these survival stories, you know, the victims often have to make a choice to just go along with whatever's happening.
Stay quiet. Yeah.
Stay quiet. Wait for their opportunity to get away, or, you know, wait for someone to find them.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have the option to fight back. And I think that's so shitty that as victims, you even have to, like, decide. And it's like, if you make the wrong decision in that moment, end game. Like, what?
I also think it's a little bit of a cop-out. You've done sexual assault before. Like, you have a shoelace handy. Like, I think you came prepared to
that
do
you might
whatever.
Kill someone.
Like, I just don't think. I think it's like a shitty thing for him to say.
For sure.
And I just don't. I don't even agree with it. I'm like, no, you went there with the intent to harm. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
Because she was scratching and fighting back when she was being strangled.
Like, it was
so you were already strangling her.
Yeah, and it was, like, so dark out. Like, you could have probably, you know, if she fought back, you could have ran away, left her there unharmed, or not unharmed, but, you know, not dead, basically.
Yes.
You had an option to get away without killing her, and you chose to not.
Yeah, no, I think it's a lame thing for him to say, and I definitely think it's just a cop-out. So either way, Matthew was charged with first-degree murder. Because obviously the police think he planned this, right? Like, he came prepared.
Yeah.
Now, during Matthew Forrester's trial, which happened in 2014, so a couple years later, his history of violence against women was revealed, including the 2005 sexual assault in Kelowna and another incident where he attacked a woman in Cherryville.
Yeah, it was actually one of his neighbors, and he, like, broke into their house, threw her off the bed into the wall, and it just, I don't know if it was his first time or what, but he kind of panicked and ran away. So she was left rather physically unharmed compared to the other two, but still traumatized nonetheless. But you can see it's, like, progressing.
Totally.
In the aggression, right?
100%.
Yep.
And in the prosecution, like, presentation of their evidence, they had said that Matthew had stalked and followed Taylor on the night of the attack. And when she resisted, he brutally assaulted her. Matthew was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. He also pled guilty to the other two assaults and received 6-year sentences for each, which were allowed to run concurrently with his life sentence. Now, Stephen Forrester also pled guilty to helping his son evade arrest and was sentenced to 3 years in prison, with credit for time served. Now, the case doesn't end there because in 2016, Matthew Forrester's lawyers filed an appeal claiming the trial judge had made errors in instructing the jury. In 2017, Matthew was gifted a new trial. This time, he ultimately pled guilty to second-degree murder. His sentence was reduced to life in prison with eligibility for parole after 17 years.
Yeah, instead of the 25.
Right. And of course, the family was not happy about this plea. It just didn't seem fair. However, they were ultimately grateful to not have to sit through another heartbreaking trial. I mean, is it really the best outcome? No. I don't think so. I think it was first-degree murder. Like, I think he came prepared to do whatever was necessary, you know, to keep her silent.
For sure. But you know what the kind of saving grace and all that is that he still has to, like, he gets the chance at parole.
Yeah.
Like, he can apply for parole, but it does not mean that he's going to get it. And I think
with his history,
his history, any parole board would be absolutely mental, out of their minds, to let him be integrated back into society.
100%.
He's obviously a shitty person and doesn't care about other people.
Yeah.
You know, so if there is any saving grace, I feel like that might be the outcome after 17 years. He will most likely never see outside of those prison walls.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably accurate to what will happen, but I'm sure it's still tough for the family to hear.
For sure.
Because they lost their daughter.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the murder of Taylor Van Diest shocked the tight-knit community of Armstrong, but her memory lives on through her friends and family, as well as the Taylor Jade Van Diest Memorial Trail. It was a walking path created parallel to the tracks where she lost her life. They wished to honor Taylor. This path symbolized safety, remembrance, and the good that Taylor embodied. Taylor's twin sister, Kirsten, was there the day the trial opened. She cut the purple ribbon, signifying the loss they suffered and the strides they continue to make for victims' rights and the awareness about violence against women. Oh my God, I just got slightly emotional. Blowing raspberries. Sorry.
It's okay.
Just like,
your eyes are all like a little glossy now.
Yeah, I just think, just something about her twin sister having to cut the purple ribbon in remembrance of her as I'm sitting across from my sister. And then just hits pretty close to home. I would never want to cut a purple ribbon for you, Becky. And I'm sorry that Kirsten had to do that for Taylor.
Oh, for sure. And they're twin sisters. Like, I feel like twins have that much more of a deeper connection, you know?
They were in utero together. Either way, this is a really sad case. And another criminal is put in jail. And hopefully he stays there.
You know what? What is a bit of a silver lining? And I know that's kind of silly saying because, someone lost their life.
Mm-hmm.
But she lost her life. Taylor did. But at least they were able to solve 3 separate crimes.
True that.
That sexual assault, if he hadn't killed Taylor, would have never been solved. Although a life is worth so much more than even a conviction. But if it would have happened regardless, at least 3 separate crimes he was found guilty for.
Yeah.
At the very
And someone who's really dangerous is out of the streets.
Yeah.
Well, Becky, that was the case of Taylor Van Diest. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for
And just your weekly reminder to download our weekly episodes, follow us on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming platform you listen to us on, and give us a follow on our social medias. You can find us at Luminol on the Wall. Can't wait till next week.